Close your eyes for just one moment. Think about the last time you felt truly alive. Not happy, alive. That electric, full-body feeling of being present. When did that feeling leave? And more importantly, why did you stop noticing it was gone? This is a God-sent opportunity. Right now, you are watching this video because the universe has chosen you. Something extraordinary is about to happen in your life. Stay till the end and get ready to become incredibly lucky, just like the people you're about to see. Your blessings are here. There is a force working against you right now. It is silent. It has no face. It does not come from your enemies or your circumstances. It comes from your own nervous system. And for most people, it will steal the rest of their lives without them ever knowing its name. That force is called hedonic adaptation, and today we are going to sit with it honestly. We are going to look at it without flinching, because understanding it, truly understanding it, may be the most important thing you do this year. But first, there is another force, a quieter one that ancient cultures called sacred, one that modern science is beginning to understand, one that, when combined with what we are about to explore, can change the entire trajectory of a man's life. That second force is semen retention. And before you judge that phrase, before your mind runs to the easy jokes, stay. Because what we are really talking about today is energy, desire, drive, the very feeling of being alive. These two forces, hedonic adaptation and semen retention, seem like opposites. One steals your aliveness, one tries to protect it. Understanding the relationship between them is what this entire video is about. You deserve the truth. Not the sugar-coated version, not the version designed to make you feel comfortable, but the raw, honest truth about why you feel numb and what you can do about it. That is what this is. Hedonic adaptation. Say it slowly. Hedonic, and from the Greek word for pleasure. Adaptation, the process of getting used to something. Together they describe a heartbreaking biological truth. Your brain is designed to stop feeling pleasure from anything constant. You get the promotion, you feel it for 3 days. Then it is just your job again. You buy the car, you feel it for a week. Then it is just your commute. You start the relationship, you feel it for a season. Then it is just your life. This is not weakness. This is not ingratitude. This is your nervous system doing exactly what it evolved to do. Detect change, not constancy. Your brain is a change detector. Stability feels like nothing. And here's where it becomes dangerous, because when your baseline becomes numb, you do not accept that numbness. You chase. You find something new that stimulates, something bigger, louder, faster, and for a moment the feeling returns. This is the cycle, the treadmill. You run faster, consume more, chase harder, and the finish line keeps moving. Every arrival becomes a new starting point of emptiness. Every pleasure seeds its own disappointment. Now here is where semen retention enters this story, and where it becomes deeply, almost unbearably relevant. When a man ejaculates, his brain floods with prolactin, serotonin, and a sharp drop in dopamine. This is nature's mechanism for rest after reproduction. But when triggered daily or multiple times daily, through pornography especially, something breaks. The dopamine receptors dull, the baseline drops. And now, ordinary life, a conversation with someone you love, a sunrise, a moment of real connection, feels like nothing. Because your brain has been trained on supernormal stimulation. Many men reading this right now recognize themselves in these words and feel a shame they cannot name. This is important. The shame is not the problem. The shame is a signal. It is your soul telling you that something is wrong. Think about a young boy, full of wonder, alive in every moment, running toward life with his whole heart. That boy did not need stimulation. He was stimulation. He was fully, effortlessly present. Where did that boy go? He adapted. The world handed him dopamine hits, screens, games, pornography, social media, processed food. And his nervous system tuned itself to those artificial levels. The quiet beauty of real life was crowded out slowly without announcement. And the tragedy is this. He does not even remember what he lost. He just knows something is missing. He feels a hollowness he cannot explain. He chases things that never fill it, and he blames himself. Hedonic adaptation does not just steal pleasure, it steals ambition. When nothing feels good, why try? When achievement tastes like nothing, why chase it? The man who cannot feel becomes the man who stops moving. And yet the world tells him to consume more, achieve more, stimulate more. The advertisement says, you feel empty because you do not have this yet. The algorithm says, keep scrolling. The culture says, numb yourself better. No one tells him the truth, that the very act of consuming more is making the emptiness worse, that every artificial hit is lowering the floor, that the cure is not addition, it is subtraction. No one tells him that his body holds an ancient power, a creative life force energy, that he has been unknowingly draining since adolescence. That this energy, when retained, redirected, transmuted, is the source of everything he is desperately searching for. This is not mysticism, this is not religion, this is biology. The same creative energy that makes new human life is the same energy that makes men write symphonies, build empires, fall deeply in love, and feel fully, thunderously alive. When that energy is constantly expelled, especially through artificial pornographic stimulation, hedonic adaptation wins completely. The baseline crashes, the soul dims, and the man sits in a comfortable chair wondering why he feels dead inside. This is the crisis we are sitting with. This is the problem we are naming together, without shame, without judgment. Just truth. Just the quiet, painful, necessary truth. And now, the bridge. Hedonic adaptation and semen retention are bound together in a way that is almost poetic in its cruelty. One lowers your capacity to feel. The other is drained by the very behaviors that accelerate that lowering. They feed each other, they deepen each other. But, and this is where the story changes, they can also reverse each other. Just as they spiral downward together, they can spiral upward together. The recovery of one accelerates the recovery of the other. This is the bridge. When a man retains his vital energy, something begins to happen in the brain, slowly, quietly, almost imperceptibly at first. The dopamine receptors begin to heal, the baseline begins to rise, the world begins to feel like something again. A cup of coffee tastes better, a conversation feels deeper, music moves through you instead of past you. Colors look slightly more vivid. This is not imagination, this is neurological recovery happening in real time. And as the baseline rises, hedonic adaptation has less to steal, because you are no longer chasing, you are arriving. In Ayurveda, in ancient Chinese medicine, in the teachings of yogis and warriors and poets across thousands of years, this energy was called by many names: ojas, jing, prana, life force, and its conservation was considered the foundation of vitality. These traditions did not teach abstinence out of fear or shame. They taught conservation out of reverence for the energy itself. When a river is dammed, that water does not disappear. It fills a reservoir. It builds pressure. It can then be directed with tremendous force toward creation, toward purpose, toward life. Toward creation, toward purpose, toward life. Semen retention works on this same principle. The energy does not disappear. It rises. It transmutes. Artists feel it as creative fire. Athletes feel it as explosive physical drive. Thinkers feel it as mental clarity so sharp it feels almost violent in its precision. But perhaps the most profound thing it restores is sensitivity, the capacity to feel, the capacity to be moved, the capacity to look at an ordinary moment, a child laughing, a friend's voice, the last light of a sunset, and feel something real. This sensitivity is what hedonic adaptation destroys. And this is exactly what semen retention restores. They are mirror images. One collapses the nervous system's capacity to feel. The other rebuilds it. Think about the man who has been on this practice for 60 days. He sits in a quiet room and feels something he has not felt in years, the simple pleasure of being still, of breathing, of existing without needing to consume anything to justify his presence. That feeling is not dramatic. It is quiet, warm, and deep, like coming home after a very long journey to a house you forgot you loved. And as that recovery deepens, something else begins to happen. The chasing stops. Not because you force yourself to stop, but because you genuinely need less. The hunger that drove you toward constant stimulation slowly, mercifully, quiets. The withdrawal is real. This must be said honestly. The first days of retention, especially for someone with years of habitual release, feel like grief, restlessness, irritability, an aching absence. Your brain is searching for the dopamine it is used to, but stay with it. Because what comes after is not just reward, it is reclamation. Something that was taken from you, slowly, over years without your consent, begins to return. Your own desire, your own hunger, your own wildness. Men who practice this describe a moment, usually between day 14 and day 30, when something shifts. A morning where the day feels important, where their goals feel real, where their love for the people in their lives feels warm and close. This is the profound shift that semen retention makes possible, from external consumption to internal generation, from chasing pleasure to emanating it, from needing the world to fill you, to discovering that you were already full. Every tradition that has ever spoken of enlightenment, of awakening, of deep peace, has described this same arrival. The moment a person stops looking outward for what only exists inward. The moment the chasing ends and the being begins. Semen retention is not the destination. It is a doorway. It is the practice of protecting your energy long enough to discover what it feels like when you stop leaking it. And once you feel that, truly feel it, you understand everything. The bridge between hedonic adaptation and semen retention is this. The first is what happens when you live unconsciously, consuming and stimulating without restraint. The second is the practice of consciousness itself, of choosing what you feed and what you protect. So what do you actually do? How does this work in real life for a real man, with a real job and real responsibilities and a phone full of temptation? Let us be honest and practical. Let us build something real. The foundation is intention, not willpower, intention. Willpower is a muscle that tires. Intention is a direction. When you know why you are doing this, truly know it in your body, not just in your head, the doing becomes easier. Write down what you are protecting, not what you are avoiding, not what you are protecting, your clarity, your drive, your capacity to feel, your creativity, your relationships, your sense of being alive. Write those words somewhere you will see them. The second practice is awareness of your dopamine environment. Look at your daily life and ask honestly, what am I using to stimulate myself? Pornography is the most destructive, but social media, processed food, constant entertainment, all contribute to baseline collapse. Begin removing one layer at a time, not dramatically, not with punishment, simply quietly, with the same care you would use removing a splinter. Each layer you remove allows the baseline to rise a little more. Each removal is a small act of self-respect. The third practice is redirection. The energy that builds during retention must have somewhere to go. This is why the ancient traditions always coupled conservation with purposeful action, with art, with physical training, with service, with deep study. Find your creative channel. It does not need to be noble or artistic. It can be a business idea, a training program, a skill you are developing, a relationship you are investing in. What matters is that the energy moves, upward, forward, outward, into creation. Physical exercise during retention is remarkable in its effect. The body holds the energy differently. Workouts carry an edge they did not have before. The mind is sharper. Recovery feels faster. Men describe this as having a kind of inner fire that did not exist before. Meditation deepens this. Even 5 minutes of stillness in the morning, sitting with your own energy, not consuming, not stimulating, just being, begins to rewrite the nervous system's relationship with silence. Silence starts to feel like nourishment instead of threat. Cold exposure amplifies the effect. Cold showers, cold plunges. These reset the nervous system in real time and work synergistically with retention. They teach the body to feel discomfort without fleeing it. That tolerance is the foundation of emotional resilience. Sleep. This cannot be overstated. The body does its deepest healing and hormonal recovery during sleep. A man on a retention practice who sleeps 8 quality hours is doing himself a profound service. Sleep is when the energy consolidates. Nutrition matters more during this practice than at any other time. The body is rebuilding. Feed it real food, not as a punishment or a regime, but as an act of respect for the project you have undertaken. You are restoring something precious. Feed it accordingly. The social dimension is often overlooked. As your energy rises, your social presence changes. People notice. You speak with more authority. You listen with more presence. Your relationships deepen. This is not a side effect. It is one of the primary benefits. Women particularly notice this shift, though it is difficult to articulate. There is something in the bearing of a man who is not constantly depleting himself, something calm, magnetic, self-possessed. This is not performance. It cannot be faked. It is real. Your relationship with romantic love also changes. Sex, when it eventually occurs in this state, is experienced completely differently. There is presence, depth, actual connection. Not the frantic, anxious seeking of a depleted system, but the full offering of an abundant one. But perhaps the most transformative change is in your relationship with yourself. The man who can sit alone, in silence, without consuming anything, and feel at peace in that silence, is a free man. He has broken the addiction to stimulation. And in that freedom, hedonic adaptation begins to lose its grip. He finds aliveness in depth, in the same music played 1,000 times, in the same face loved across decades, in simple morning light. Semen retention, at its deepest level, is a practice in attention, in choosing where your life force goes, in refusing to scatter it on everything that asks for it, in learning to discern between what deserves your energy and what will only consume it. This discernment extends beyond sexuality. It becomes a philosophy of how you spend your time, your attention, your care. You begin to notice which relationships nourish and which drain, which ambitions are truly yours and which were handed to you by a culture of consumption. Some men find that during this practice, old grief surfaces. Emotions that had been numbed for years begin to move again. This is not breakdown, this is thaw. The nervous system, no longer suppressed, begins to process what it was too depleted to feel before. Let the grief move. Let the old anger rise and pass. Let the tenderness you had forgotten you possessed come back to the surface. This emotional aliveness is part of the recovery. It is proof that the healing is real. There will be days where you want to abandon the practice, where the old pull is so strong it feels like gravity. On those days, do not fight with force. Sit with curiosity. Ask, what am I feeling right now? What am I actually looking for? On those days, do one thing. Return to your intention. Return to the words you wrote. Return to the memory of what it felt like when the baseline rose and life tasted real. That memory is an anchor. Use it. Let us talk about what transformation actually looks like. Not the dramatic, cinematic version, the real one. The one that happens slowly, in small moments, so quietly that you almost miss it. It looks like waking up one morning and noticing the quality of the light before you check your phone. It looks like laughing at something genuinely without performing the laugh. It looks like sitting with a friend and actually hearing what they say. It looks like caring about your work again. Not the career, the work itself, the craft, the thing you do when no one is watching. That care is a sign of vitality returning. It is your energy looking for something worthy to invest in. It looks like wanting to call your mother, or feeling genuine warmth when you see an old friend, or being moved by something beautiful, a piece of music, a line of poetry, a child's total unself-consciousness. Feeling moved is a sign of health. It looks like the return of dreams, vivid, strange, alive dreams. The brain during retention enters deeper sleep stages more readily. The unconscious speaks more loudly. Men on this path often describe a reunion with a deeper version of themselves through their dreams. It looks like your body changing, not just in the gym, everywhere. Skin, posture, eye contact, the timbre of your voice. There is a presence that returns to the body when its vital energy is not constantly depleted. People see it before you do. It looks like a relationship with solitude that is no longer frightened. The man who once could not sit alone without reaching for his phone begins to crave stillness, to protect it, to feel it as sacred rather than threatening. It looks like a return of your own standards, the things you used to accept, the passive cruelty, the mediocrity, the settling, begin to feel wrong again. You start to know what you deserve, and you quietly begin to ask for it. It looks like being less interested in what people think of you, not from arrogance, but from a growing internal source of validation. You become less dependent on external approval because you are building an internal relationship with yourself that is trustworthy. It looks like the slow return of wonder, the ability to find something genuinely fascinating, to go deep into a subject not for resume building, but because you are curious and alive and the world is endlessly strange and beautiful. All of this is hedonic adaptation losing its grip. All of this is the baseline rising. All of this is your nervous system remembering that ordinary life lived with full attention and conserved energy is astonishing. There is a word that rarely appears in conversations about self-improvement, but it belongs here: reverence. The man who has walked this path long enough begins to feel reverence for his own life, for the people in it, for the ordinary miracle of another day. Reverence cannot be stimulated into existence. It cannot be purchased or consumed. It arises naturally when the system is clean, quiet, and alive. It is the feeling underneath all the chasing, what every man was actually looking for all along. If you have never felt reverence for your own life, that is not because you are broken. That is because you have been flooded with so much artificial stimulation that the quiet, sacred signal was drowned out. It is still there. It is waiting. The man you are capable of becoming is not a fantasy. He is the man you already are. Underneath the depletion, underneath the adaptation, underneath the years of unconscious consumption. He has been there the entire time, waiting for you to clear the noise. And the journey back to him is not a straight line. You will stumble. You will reset. You will have days where you feel you have undone everything and are starting from zero. But you are never starting from zero. Every day of consciousness is banked. Every day is progress. Be patient with yourself in a way you have, perhaps never been. You are reversing patterns built over years, possibly decades. The nervous system heals at its own pace. Trust that pace. Do not demand transformation. Invite it. What is waiting on the other side is not perfection. It is not the absence of struggle. It is something simpler and more profound. The feeling of being real, of being present, of living in a life that feels like yours. Hedonic adaptation will always exist. Your brain will always adapt. But when your baseline is high, when your energy is full, your attention is clean, your system is not in constant artificial stimulation. Adaptation works with you, not against you. And one day, you will sit in an ordinary moment, nothing special, nothing remarkable, and feel a fullness so quiet and complete that it brings tears to your eyes. Not because something wonderful has happened, but because you are finally here, present, alive, yours. If this video touched something inside you, if for even one moment you felt it, truly felt it, then you already know this truth lives inside you. Please press that like button, not for a number, as a quiet promise to yourself that you will not go back to sleep. Share this with someone who is silently suffering and does not yet have the words. Subscribe, because this is a journey and no one should walk it alone. And if you watched all the way here, thank you. From the deepest place. You are not broken. You are waking up.